Hey there, good morning to you and a happy Sunday. I'm King 5 meteorologist Ashley Ruiz with a look at your forecast for today and as we head into the new work week. Today and Monday, we'll have the best shot to get rain and some heavy rain for some of the area, and I'll show you where coming up in a few minutes. But then our weather pattern flips, so we're going to have a big influence from a ridge. It's going to build over the region and it's going to amplify over the region, keeping us mostly dry over the next potentially 7 days or so after today and tomorrow. So let's talk all about it. We have this atmospheric river stretching all the way over the Pacific to about Hawaii, and it's just pumping in moisture into British Columbia and western Washington, and it's going to bring us some heavy rain at times, but more so north of Seattle. There's going to be a very sharp contrast of little to no rain and then several inches of rain. This is what we're looking at for western Washington as a whole. Wind, yes, we'll have some wind gust, heavy rain, and mountain snow very minimal. Unfortunately, our snow levels are coming way up. And once again, I will give you all the details. River flooding is low, the threat for it, but two of our rivers in western Washington may reach flood stage starting today. Let's talk about the winds first. We have southerly winds, and then they're going to accelerate as they get closer to the islands and through the Admiralty Inlet into the afternoon, as well as near the coast. You see wind gusts 30, maybe up to 40 miles per hour all the way into the north interior, Bellingham, so essentially Port Townsend, Everett, and northward, and then the coast. That's where we're expecting the strongest wind gusts this afternoon, tonight, and through early Monday morning, but all of us will still have breezy conditions and gusty conditions at times. With this atmospheric river bringing us that warm, moist Pacific air all the way from Hawaii, that's going to cause our snow levels to come up well above past level, 7,000 feet to 8,000 feet. Even into Tuesday, it's high, but then into the second half of the week, we're not going to have any precipitation, and our freezing levels, snow levels, going to be very high. So that could lead to some minor snow melt up there, up in the mountains, the Cascades, except our really high mountain tops, our peak volcanoes. Now we can talk about the rivers with such high snow levels and then the risk for heavy rain falling over the mountains. This is what we're looking at. In fact, some of the rivers updated. This is as of Sunday at 9 a.m. Know that the river forecast changes frequently. You saw it just change there, and so you can find the latest on at water.noaa.gov as well as the Northwest River Forecast Center. So know that this will change. Again, you saw it change there. So the Skagit near Mount Vernon is expected to reach at least action stage. Flood stage is 28 feet. Currently it's forecast to hit about 26, but we have to see where that heaviest rain sets up. Earlier this morning, the Snohomish was forecast to reach at least action stage. Now saying below that. Flood stage is 25. The Nooksack at Ferndale about 15 feet. Flood stage is 18 feet. So an action stage. The Skokomish near Potlatch, that's where we're expecting the worst of it, but that's typically one of the hardest hit spots when it comes to river flooding. It's expected to reach and crest at moderate flood stage. But again, all of this could change. So you see the river flooding is less of a concern except for possibly the Bogacheel at Forks and then the Skokomish. Rain totals, and I mentioned it's going to be a very sharp contrast of who gets what. As we well know, the rain shadow from about Sequim, Port Townsend, down through Edmonds and Seattle, all the way up to the Admiralty Inlet, going to get significantly less, generally less than a half of an inch. And then even for Puget Sound, expecting anywhere from a quarter of an inch, maybe up to an inch, but that better chance would be over Hood Canal in the western Kitsap Peninsula, up into the North Cascades. That's where we're looking at 2 to 4 inches, and then the North Coast. typically some of the spots that get the heaviest of precipitation. Here's a look at the radar loop for 3 hours. So from 6:30 this morning to 9:30 this morning, and you see just light rain. We also have those snow levels really starting to come up, and you can tell with the pinks and less of the purple and the white. That means we're starting to see those snow levels come up, so that rain or the snow is switching to possibly freezing rain, and eventually we'll see all green, meaning just rain. Let's take you up to Snoqualmie Pass. You see a lot of people still taking advantage of all of that fresh snow that we had, but today's not going to be the best of skiing and snowboarding days, but because we're going to have rain falling over this snow, and still our snow levels are going to come up as the day goes on, so likely going to see some icy spots and wet and slushy spots on top of that snow. But still, if you want, take full advantage of it. Monday's going to be even less of a favorable skiing day, snowboarding day. Let's take you down to the lowlands. Already starting to see the winds crank up. I mentioned the north interior, including Bellingham, and basically the coastal spots from Whatcom County down to Snohomish County going to get quite gusty, and you can see that push of water into Bellingham Bay. So we have those stronger wind gusts. The camera's shaking at Everett as well, and you see beautiful conditions, and we also have some sun peeking through, but we can still see some of the snow-capped mountains. Our Columbia Center tower cam in Seattle looking toward the Cascades, and you see all of the low clouds in place. We have some sun, still seeing those snow-capped mountains. Always a beautiful sight to see. And again, we're going to get rain up there. Here's later this morning. So the North Cascades going to take a little bit of time for those snow levels to come down. So we're going, or come up rather. So still going to have some rain and snow mix, maybe a snow and slushy mix, if anything, maybe some freezing rain, but you see how we get less of that purple, less of that pink, and then it's replaced with green. So that's telling us, again, snow levels coming way up into the afternoon, so it's going to switch to plain rain. Here's this afternoon, we're going to get waves of showers. Pay attention to especially areas northwest of Seattle and west. That's where we're going to have some of the heaviest rain, except for the rain shadow areas that I mentioned. So Port Townsend, Sequim, and our typical areas shadowed by the Olympics. This is 6 o'clock, and you see very sharp contrast of very light rain, if anything, all the way up I-5. You see some heavier rain up in the Cascades. Here's overnight, still having some more rain moving in, but especially from Seattle northward and northwest, and up into the afternoon. Here's Monday morning. You see how rain slowly tapers off. This ridge is going to begin to build over the region, and it's going to cut our moisture source off. But then we're left with some fog Tuesday morning. So likely going to have foggy conditions for your commute Tuesday, and then we'll have partly sunny skies, but likely going to have more fog as that ridge starts to strengthen over the region. In terms of rain totals, I already mentioned that, but I wanted to show you our in-house model. So through Monday night, and it's showing potentially Seattle and just central and south sound ranging between that 1/4 of an inch range I mentioned, maybe up to 1.5 inches, but closer to the north interior and northwest interior, so Bellingham, Mount Vernon, up to portions of the islands, Port Angeles, and then the northwestern coast, getting potentially that 1 to 3 inch range. Up in the mountains, you can't see it, but Mount Baker perhaps picking up that 2 to 4 inch range. And then the rain totals really taper off the farther south you are. So the south central Cascades and the southern Cascades not going to get much. And then the eastern side of the Cascades not going to get much as well. Looking ahead to Wednesday and into Thursday, Friday, and into next weekend, you see how temperatures, our average high this time of year is about 48, 49. So you see pretty similar each and every day, but we'll have morning fog, partly sunny skies, except some may get trapped under some of those low clouds and fog for a good chunk of the day. This is what I was talking about with that ridge starting to build. This is Monday, and you can see how it slowly builds and amplifies over the region. So this is Tuesday. That ridge is really building into British Columbia as well, and going to take just full control of our weather pattern over the west coast. And then it amplifies even more and spreads more to the west as we head into Thursday, Friday. And so that's why we are expecting, yes, some morning fog, but a better chance for us to get afternoon sunshine versus maybe earlier in the week when the ridge, and middle half of the week when the ridge is slowly building. As for beyond the 7-day forecast, a lot of people are wondering, well, are we going to get any more meaningful mountain snow? Because we're looking at a pretty prolonged stretch of dry weather. This is January 19th through January 25th. And January typically is a wetter month, as we well know. And this product from the Climate Prediction Center saying either side or equal chances of us having above or near normal precipitation for this time of year, or even below normal. So that's showing equal chances. But as we well know, the coast typically is still very wet. This is saying potentially a little below normal. So that just goes to show that we're looking pretty dry instead of very wet instead. Not to say there won't be chances whatsoever, but the pattern favors that. In terms of temperatures, showing above normal temperatures. But keep in mind, this time of year, our average highs in the 40s, lows are upper 40s, and our lows are typically in the upper 30s. So we could be above that. So really not much of a huge weather pattern flip. Maybe not until the end of the month. Now into February, they're showing some signs of a weather pattern flip once again. So we'll see. Just hopefully we get more mountain snow sooner rather than later, because as we well know, our snowpack is struggling, and that's not a good sign heading into the spring and summer months. But we'll keep you posted, and we could be hopeful for now. So once again, here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Rain at times, gusty, especially north and west of Seattle, are typical gusty spots, but we're all going to be rather breezy. Into Monday, rain at times, it tapers off. Breezy conditions, and then we dry things out. Tuesday, the warmest day. Some of you could even reach the upper 50s. As for Wednesday and beyond, that's when we have that chance for, again, better chance for morning fog and then afternoon clearing, especially as we head into next weekend. And remember, you can always find the latest forecast, an extended look at your forecast where we have the chance to really take a deep dive into everything, give you more of a thorough explanation, talk about the weather story in general. You can always find that at King 5 Plus and king5.com.